John Cola with DiscountJuicers.com. Today I have another exciting episode for you. We got the juice off you guys have been waiting for. So what we're going to do today is we're going to compare the all-new Slowstar Juicer, runs at 47 RPMs or revolutions per minute, which may just be my new favorite vertical auger juicer, with the Omega VRT400. Now the Omega Vert series of juicers has been my favorite vertical slow running juicer for the longest period of time now. So this is going to be definitely an interesting juice off to show you guys which juicer will reign supreme in juicing. Got some herb mix, 1 pound of herb mix by Earthbound. These are baby green, so no pre-cutting is necessary in the vertical auger juicers. If you are juicing large leaves of kale, chard, or spinach, or celery, I do recommend you pre-cut your leafy greens into 1/8-inch pieces for best results when juicing in vertical single auger style juicers. If you don't want to do the cutting, then you want to look for a horizontal single auger juicer. So be sure to check my videos for videos on the horizontal single augers. So besides the 1 pound of herb mix, we're going to juice 2 full pounds of cucumbers in addition. So we're going to juice a total of 3 pounds of produce through each one of these juicers to see which one is going to yield more juice. Alright, so now we're all ready to do the juice off. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to remove both of the strainers that come with the machines. Because if we use the strainer on the Slowstar, it's going to filter out more pulp, so we're going to have a more pulp-free juice, which actually may mess up the yield. And then likewise on the Omega Vert, the holes are larger, so that may actually add to the yield we're going to get. I'm going to make sure that we strain the juice with the same exact strainers after we're done juicing, so that we'll have an even, fair fight. Alright, let's get into the juice off. First, we're going to, once again, do the weigh-in. This is very important. Over on this side, we got the Slowstar, and as you guys can see, we got 2 pounds evenly of the cucumbers in the Slowstar, plus we got a pre-weighed pack of 1 pound of the herb mix, which is mostly like lettuces. I see some Swiss chard and some other greens in there. Over on the Vert side, we got, once again, 2 pounds of the cucumbers on the Vert side, plus, once again, 1 pound of pre-weighed herb blend mix. The next step is to juice off the stuff. So first, we're going to go ahead and use the Omega Vert, and let's see if we get away without using the pusher. I'm going to go ahead and open up this herb blend here. Rip this open, brand new package. And now I like juicing the baby greens in the vertical single auger style machines. There's no pre-cutting necessary. In addition, these guys are triple wash, so this makes it easier for you. It takes out one extra step of having to wash your greens, which sometimes can be laden with bugs, especially if they're organic, and makes juicing a lot simpler. So that's why we're going to juice these guys today. And once again, we got these cucumbers here. Now, it's very important when juicing these guys in any juicer is to do what you call diet rotation. I mean, juicer rotation. You should also be doing diet rotation, which means you want to always vary what you're eating in your diet and what you're juicing so that you can get different nutrients in you. On the same token with the juicer, it's best to rotate what you're putting in the juicer and vary them to give the juicer the different textures, which is going to allow it to work more effectively. So we're going to go ahead and turn this machine on, and we're just going to go ahead and take basically a handful of the greens and push that right into the feed chute of the machine. Then we're going to follow some of the greens with the cucumber here and push it right in. I like to use the cucumber as the pusher, and then I'll just basically let it go and get juiced. As you can see, this is fairly easy. I don't really even need to use the pusher to feed all these greens into the machine. As you guys can see, I got the stopper down right now, so the juice is collecting behind that stopper and mixing up. This will allow you to get a better mixture of greens and cucumbers with the Omega VRT400 instead of having it just constantly flow out. You could also then just mix it up in the collection cup. We're going to go ahead and open this up and watch it pour out of there. Wow. Delicious green cucumber juice. You go over to the other side, we can see the pulp coming out of the Omega Vert now, and actually it looks fairly dry to me. So today I'm making what's called a green juice, and this is an all green juice. If you're new into juicing, I may not necessarily recommend this style of juice because it's pretty much all cucumbers, which is pretty mild, and I got some mild baby greens, so it's not going to be too strong. Juicing something like cucumber and straight kale could be actually very strong, and you know, the greens have the highest level of nutrition with the least amount of calories of any of the foods on the planet, literally. It's high on the what they call ANDI list. The ANDI list stands for aggregate nutrient density, and if you've been to any Whole Foods supermarket, I like to call them whole paycheck because they help take your paycheck from you. They use the ANDI scoring list to rate different foods in their store. So the leafy greens consistently rate at 1,000 on the list, which is the highest on the list, and something like a soda would rank like a 0. We want to eat foods high on this ANDI list, and guess what's at the top? The leafy green vegetables like collard greens, like kale, like watercress. Definitely really important to have. And what I recommend you guys do is to rotate the greens. So just because kale's at the top of the list doesn't mean you shouldn't eat spinach, which is, you know, a little bit not at the top of the list. You want to rotate these things. So today eat kale, tomorrow eat spinach. The following day eat some, you know, romaine lettuce or eat some dandelion greens. Always getting diet rotation, eating different foods, in my opinion, is definitely a good idea to allow your body to get different nutrients all the time, because there may be some nutrients in spinach that you're just not getting from the kale. As you guys can see, I'm about halfway done juicing these greens and these cucumbers in the Omega VRT400. So you want to just give you some updates. I have not had to use the pusher. I put in basically handfuls of greens, and then I'll put in a cucumber to push it down. I'll let go of the cucumber and it'll basically get sucked in by the Vert. I do want to show you guys that actually on the Vert, we are making actually a lot of juice, but we're also making a good selection of foam here. Now, every juicer will create some level of foam when juicing the leafy greens in the vertical single auger style machines. I've observed that there's always more foam than the horizontal style machines. So once again, if you want to focus on juicing greens specifically, I recommend the horizontal machines for that purpose. They are better at juicing the greens. The vertical juicers in general are better for juicing things like the fruits and the hard vegetables than the greens, in my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and finish off juicing the last of these greens in the Omega VRT400 juicer. One of the things I want to comment on when juicing in the Omega Vert is that you may notice, you know, when the pulp is coming out the outlet chute right here, only about half of the chute is being active. I mean, the chute is this wide and the pulp coming out is only about that wide. So literally half the chute is clogged up. John, my juicer's clogged up, man, it's not working. Well, let me tell you something. As long as at least a quarter of that chute is feeding pulp out, it's working properly. There will always be some backlog in there. If the juicer stops putting out all pulp, then that's definitely an issue. You may want to check out how you're feeding things. Maybe you're feeding things too quickly. Maybe you didn't prepare them properly. You want to be sure to visit and check out my video on YouTube entitled Omega Vert Best Practices. Whether you get the Omega Vert or any other vertical single auger style machine, you want to use what I call the best practices to get the optimal level of success when juicing in the vertical single auger style machines. Alright, so we're continuing juicing in the Vert, and the Vert, actually the collection cup's actually quite full of foam. I'm concerned it might be overflowing, so we're going to close the stopper and keep all the juice inside the machine, kind of let the foam go down a little bit. Then we'll open this guy up a little bit later to hopefully get all the juice in the container without overflowing. So one of the last things I want to mention is that we're about done juicing all the leafy greens, and we got a couple cucumbers left. And this is very important when juicing the vertical single auger juicers, is you want to juice all the leaves first, or the things that's softest, second to the last. And the last thing you want to juice is something like a carrot or a cucumber, something that could literally push those leafy greens through the machine. If I did juice like all the cucumbers and then save the leaves for the last, you'll see a lot of unbroken down leaves inside the machine when you clean it up. That being said, you always will, for the most part, see something left in the machine that basically just didn't get juiced, and that's usually the last thing you put in. So for that reason, I like to put the least valuable or least costly food. As you know, leafy greens are quite expensive, and juicing things like carrots or cucumbers, they're much more inexpensive. So I put those last instead of putting my expensive leafy greens last in the juicer. All right, we're down to the last cucumber. All right, right into the machine. and it juices it right up, and the Vert is holding back that juice really well with the stopper. I really like this feature on the Omega Vert. Let's go pull this aside and go ahead and move our bin there and clean up the table a little bit so you guys can see what we got. We got a whole bunch of juice that's almost foaming over, and we got a whole lot of pulp created by the Omega Vert. Yes, we're gonna go ahead and turn this Vert off, and next we get to play with the Slowstar Juicer. So let's juice in the Slowstar. Number one, don't forget to always put your collection cups in place. I had moved this one, so let's go ahead and put it in place, because it's no fun to start juicing without your collection cups in place, especially the juice collection cup, because you'll get juice all over your counter. Let's go ahead and turn this guy on. Now the Slowstar seems like it's a little bit louder than the Omega Vert was. Let's go ahead and once again take this and rip this top off here. Got all these nice, delicious leafy green vegetables. Leafy green vegetables are the #1 underconsumed vegetable in the world, in my opinion. So you want to make sure you get enough leafy green vegetables in you. My goal every day is to include 2 pounds of leafy greens. You know, if I drink both these juices, that's my 2-pound requirement. But earlier today I already had 12 ounces. So if I eat 12 ounces of that and then, you know, one of these, if I juice 1 pound, I literally have almost my requirement. I can make a salad at night and easily meet my 2-pound quota that I've self-inflicted on myself. That being said, most Americans might eat 1 or 2 handfuls of greens, which in my opinion is not enough. Once again, leafy greens are the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet and do contain things like phytochemicals, phytonutrients, antioxidants, of course, vitamins and minerals, which are beneficial for us. I mean, they're the greatest source of these high-power nutrients, in my opinion. And that's why I like the juicing so much. No matter what juicer you use, it's going to allow you to take 1 pound of greens, because especially most of you guys don't like to eat your greens, and juice them. And these juices will basically take 1 pound of leafy greens into 1 cup of juice. I mean, you guys can all drink 1 little cup of juice. I mean, plug your nose if you don't like tasting it. That being said, you can always add something like apples or pears or some lemons to make the juice taste better. You also want to check my videos for free juice recipes for life, where I share with you my secrets on how to formulate your own juice recipes at home to taste great the first time. So now that we got the Slowstar on, let's go ahead and start feeding things in. And you know, I may have to be using the pusher and the Slowstar. So once again, we're going to take a handful of greens, put them into the Slowstar, and because the feed sheet is a bit smaller, we're just going to use the pusher. It's going to make it just that much easier. Let's go ahead and push some greens in, and then we're going to go ahead and push it in with the cucumber to see if we can get it to go. Just not quite going into the Slowstar like it was on the Vert due to the design. So we're going to have to use the pusher a little bit. So we use the pusher to push it in, and check it out, we got a waterfall of juice. One of the coolest things about the Slowstar, like, besides all the features, is that when the juice comes out, it literally kind of has a little drop off, and it looks like, you know, when you got a nice stream going on, it looks like a little waterfall coming out of the juicer. A waterfall of green juice. I wish all waterfalls were green juices and you could just lie underneath them and open your mouth and drink it all to your heart's content. So feeding things into the Slowstar juicer is actually going a little bit slower than the Omega Vert, and I will and have to use a little bit more downward force to get things pushed in the juicer. It's definitely not as self-feeding. To some, this may be a pro. To some, this may be a con. You know, if it's a pro, because you're going to build your muscles, man, because it takes more muscles to push things in. Let's go ahead and put some more greens into the Slowstar, and we're going to go ahead and follow it with a cucumber. One of the things I like about the Slowstar that I'm observing is on the Omega Vert, the housing pieces are like a nice smoke color, which kind of looks cool. On the Slowstar, it's actually a clear color, so you can kind of like look in there and more easily see the juice and the machine working. Another thing that I do want to say is that the pieces are a little bit more stout on the Slowstar juicer, meaning they're just a little bit bigger, so there will be more surface area to wash. So in cleaning, which we won't actually show cleaning in this video, the Omega Vert takes me under 3 minutes to clean, and with the Slowstar, it'll probably take me over 3 minutes. So a little bit more time in cleaning, but not significantly more. So if you're one of those guys like me that wants to save the max amount of time, you might want to go with the Vert. I mean, Just like I show in my videos, every juicer has its list of pros and cons, and my job is to share with you guys all the pros and cons and share with you guys how the juicers work, how much they're going to yield, so that you can determine the right juicer for you. Of course, I also have my personal favorites, and personally, my personal favorites are the juicer that works the best for me and my particular needs, which may or may not be your needs. Up until this point, I've really liked the Vert series vertical juicers, and I'm continuing to play with the Slowstar to see if I really like it or not. This test and the results of the yield test is definitely going to play a factor in that. Of course, at this time, I'm not particularly fond of how I really have to push things in with more force and like that on the Slowstar, and I really like how the Vert is. But the benefits, of the Slowstar with the dual blade system may be worth it, or may not be, and we'll be sure to see real soon. Right, so as you guys can see, I'm about halfway done juicing in the Slowstar juicer, and it appears to be going fairly well. The juice is coming out over here, and the pulp's going out over here. And so far, it personally looks like to me that the Slowstar is maybe not going to perform as well as the Vert, but we're only halfway done. What I want to show you guys next is actually, as I feed some of the produce in, I want to show you guys the pulp and the juice coming out of the Slowstar. So once again, we're rotating our produce. This is very important in any juicer you use. And let's go ahead and show you guys the juicer working on the insides, and also some of the pulp coming out. So as you can see, the juice is coming out the front here. It has to have a nice drop down. One of the things I like about the Slowstar is that you do not need to use their specific collection cups. What I would like to do personally is put underneath this 32-ounce mason jar, which will easily fit. A 32-ounce mason jar does not quite fit under the Omega Vert, although I have done that before. So I do like that you can use your own collection cups or jars on this machine due to its height. One of the negatives to its height may be that you can't stick this underneath your kitchen counters if it's, if they're not tall enough. Let's go over to the pulp side. I want to show you guys the pulp coming out of the Slowstar juicer. And as you can see, the whole pulp outlet is maybe about 1 inch wide, and as you can see, maybe only about a half or 60% of the pulp outlet is actually working. Part of it is actually still clogged up. As long as pulp is flowing, you're good to grow. Alright, so I'm just about done juicing the Slowstar. We got a little bit more leafy greens that we're just going to go ahead and pour into the feed chute here. And once again, after the leafy greens, you want to follow it with something else. So we're going to follow it by the last few cucumbers. So we're out there, and we got 2 more cucumbers to go, and now we're out of cucumbers. Now, it's very important when using either of these machines is to let the juicer run. Don't just put the last thing in and turn it off immediately. You want to give it a good 30 seconds more to let it run until the juice stops flowing out of the machine. Now we're going to go ahead and turn off the Slowstar juicer, and the next thing I want to do is weigh out the pulp for you. Now keep in mind there is some leftover pulp in both these machines, so I'm not going to be disassembling the machine to get out the pulp. We're just going to go ahead and take a little tool, the brush that comes with the Slowstar, to get some of the pulp out of the ejection port area on both machines. And this will give you guys a general reference as to how much juice was left in the pulp. As you guys know, we started with about 3 pounds of produce total. So we got these scales here. We're going to go ahead and dump out the pulp from the Omega Vert. Whoa. And finish taking out the pulp here. I'm going to go ahead and just put it gently in the cup. Making sure we get all the pulp out there so you guys get a fairly accurate reading. Alright, pretty much got all the pulp out of there. Next, let's go ahead and get the pulp out of the Slowstar. Hopefully it'll be a little bit easier to pour here. Both these pulps are, a fair bit wet. So it'll be interesting to see which pulp actually weighs a bit more. Alright, so we got all the pulps out, and let's take a look at the weight. Over on the Omega Vert side, it's 0.736, so that's like, about a 3/4 of a pound. Over on the Slow side, it's 0.720. So as you guys can see, the weights on both these machines are fairly similar. You know, can I really say one's more than the other? Because there's still probably pulp left in the machines and whatnot. I mean, these are too close to call. Although the pulp on the Slowstar was a little less, I don't think it's that meaningful. What is going to be meaningful is actually the yield of the juice. So what we're going to do next is maybe move these juices aside just a little bit, and we're going to be checking the yields. Let's see, it looks like the Omega Vert foam on the top has gone down, so we're going to go ahead and release some of the juice into there and fill that up. So it's definitely filled it up, and one of the things I like to do on the juicers is actually tip them up a little bit to get all the juice out of the bowl there on the juicer so that it doesn't end up on the countertop and ends up in you instead of down the sink actually. Alright, so I think we got all the juice in there, and I like on the Omega VRT400 we can put that little stopper in so it doesn't drip over the counter. Once again, on the Slowstar, we're going to do the same thing, tip that up, get all the juice out of there. There's just a couple more drips. We're going to move this guy aside so I could have some work room there. And let's see, move these guys out of the way. Now what we're going to do, to be fair, because we got both these juices, one may contain more or less pulp than the other, we're going to go ahead and take a standard measuring cup with the same sieves, same hole size, so that you guys can see which one is going to yield more. So these are the same exact sieves with the same hole size. Let's go ahead and line these guys up right on top, and let's go ahead and pour in the various juices. Now, I do want to mention on the foam aspect, you know, if we do compare these foams, and once again the Omega Vert has been sitting a while, so the foam has gone down. You know, in general, from what I saw when making the juice, the Vert did create more foam overall than the Slowstar. So that was definitely interesting. Let's go ahead and slowly pour this in. As you can see, some foam came off the top, and now we're getting a pretty clean juice with actually not too much pulp in there. We're going to go ahead and pour this all the way out, and yes, it is actually, there's a bunch of definitely a lot of pulp in the juice here, and a lot of the foam is you know, going into the strainer there for me to strain out. Now we're going to go ahead and lift this up and just shake this down a little bit, and you can see all the foam and some of the pulp still left in the juice. So I'm just about done straining out this juice, and you know, as you can see, there's a nice pulp glob in there, and the strainer did let also some foam into the juice. And that's just what it is. We're going to go ahead and set that aside. Next, we're going to go ahead and pour in the juice from the Slowstar through the strainer. Once again, we're pouring that through, and I'm also seeing some you know, pulp in the juice. Potentially could be less than the Omega Vert. I'm not exactly sure at this point. Pour the rest through. And that's pretty much all the juice through the strainer from the Slowstar. As you can see, there is a considerable amount of foam in there, and also pulp. And there seems to me that there's considerably less pulp generated by the Slowstar than the Omega Vert in this juice. And as we're shaking it down, pretty much it was a lot easier to strain because there's significantly less pulp. It was a lot actually finer. But you see, this strainer did keep back some of the foam, and on the Omega Vert kept back some of the pulp. I'd have to say that there's definitely, the Vert made a more pulpy juice than the Slowstar. Of course, one of the most important things is the yield. Let's take a look at the yield next. So now that we got it all poured out and strained out, we're going to show you guys the results. And this is actually quite interesting. So over on this side, the Omega Vert side, we got 3 1/3 cup of greens and cucumber juice. Totally delicious. Over on the Slowstar Juicer side, check it out. Oh my gosh, 3 2/3 cup. So it looks like the Slowstar, a whole whopping 1/3 cup more. Wow. So, you know, as you guys can see, the Slowstar definitely won in the yield by 1/3 cup, which is 9%. Maybe you could call that almost 10% more juice. Now, is that really worth it? Depends. I mean, if you're just going for the yield, it totally is. If you're looking at the foam content, well, definitely the Slowstar had less foam. So what does that mean? That means probably a little bit less oxidation is occurring to the juice. In addition, another thing, the Slowstar had less pulp in the juice overall. I mean, the Vert did a reputable job, and we had to, take out a lot of the pulp in here, although the Slowstar did still contain a significant amount of foam in there. So overall, what I'm going to have to say is that the Slowstar Juicer basically wins this juice off. It had 9% more juice. It created less foam, created less pulp in the juice that I had to strain out. Of course, besides just the yield, you saw about how it was to use the machines. The Vert, in my opinion, was significantly easier to use because I didn't have to use the pusher and push things in. It was more auto-feeding, self-feeding. The Slowstar, due to its dual blade system, appeared to cut the produce up, chop it up, and with the larger screen area, did make more yield, hands down. The other thing, I don't like the webbing, which may lead to a little bit more difficult cleaning. But overall, either one of these juices is going to do a really good job compared to the centrifugal ejection high-speed juicers. Now, besides just the yield, it's also really important to me on how the juice tastes. So now we're going to do the taste test. First, let's go ahead and drink the juice created with the Omega VRT400. Nice and mild. You could definitely taste the greens. Now, I do want to give you guys a fair warning. This is a pretty strong green juice because it's just greens and cucumbers. You may want to add some apples or lemon, even just a little bit of ginger to, spice it up to make it taste better. So I definitely tasted the green in there, and once again, we did filter it through our strainer, and that's virtually a pulp-free juice. Next, I'm going to go for the Slowstar Juicer. Interesting. I taste a little bit more of a cucumber overtones on this juicer. I don't know particularly what that means, but for all practical purposes, they tasted fairly similar. They taste like a nice, strong, and delicious green juice that's going to help you get the nutrition in your body that most Americans are not getting. The leafy green silly. 1 pound of leafy greens are in both these guys, and that's definitely a good amount for me to juice every day. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode learning more about the Omega VRT400 and try the Slowstar Juicer. They're both excellent vertical single auger juicers. You can't go wrong with either one. Once again, each one has their pros and cons, and I went over them in this video. So, figure out what the criteria is most important for you and juice for it. And you want to get that juicer and start juicing every day so that you can make the changes in your life that you want to make by eating more fresh fruits and vegetables. Because in my opinion, juicing is one of the best ways to build your health. Once again, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors. Alright, this is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Today I have another exciting episode for you. We got the juice off you guys have been waiting for. So what we're going to do today is we're going to compare the all-new Slowstar Juicer, runs at 47 RPMs or revolutions per minute, which may just be my new favorite vertical auger juicer, with the Omega VRT400. Now, the Omega Vert series of juicers has been my favorite vertical slow running juicer for the longest period of